Hi, this session is majorly 3D modeling using Maya and animating. The session is covered how to model a 3D table fan, texture it and animate. So let's start. First we'll create the blades of the table fan. So try to switch to the front view and always choose this as an origin. For this session or for this lesson you can modify your pivot and all the stuff, but try to use this as your origin. Under mesh we got one tool called create polygon tool. Start drawing the shape of a blade. You won't be getting a decent smooth results because this is a very basic shape, but switch back to the perspective. Press 5 for shaded mode. Switch to face. Select this face. Edit mesh, extrude, and move it out in Z-axis. So you'll get some result like this. Switch back to the object mode. You can press F8 or else hold right mouse button and object mode. And then if you press 3, you can see a smooth subsurface or subdivision surface. You can call it anything. But still we need to have some depth. We can see, but we can't really feel it. So go to edit mesh, insert edge loop tool. Add a loop. Don't try to add a loop on this edge. Always check it on this one here, the other one is here. Click on more tool and F8. Switch to the object now. So you should be getting this one right. So we can say we are ready with one blade. But if you check any fans, the blades are not straight or flat. It will be a little bit tilted. So we'll try to rotate it in top view. Maybe let's take around 20 degrees. You can take it 50, 20 or 90 degrees. Now come back to the front view. If you check your rotation angle, you can see on channel editor it's 20 degrees and you can see the cursor. So you need to freeze the transformations. Modify, freeze transformations. Check the result. Once you freeze the transformations, everything will be neutralized. Everything will be 0, 0, 0 in rotation. And you can check the icon. Freeze transformations. Can you see it now? Good. Now we need 4 copies. I still assume that you are at the early stage. I prefer duplicating it. You can just press Ctrl D or edit, duplicate. You can see a Ctrl D. We can go in depth, a little bit of duplicate, special and all options, but right now I'll still stick with duplicate. Let's Ctrl D and I'll rotate around 90 degrees. You can continue with Ctrl D. It will be minus 180 degrees. Ctrl D, minus 270. So overall, if you check here, you'll get something like this. Right? Now, we'll create a centerpiece. Create a cylinder in front view. You can easily see we need a center here, so we'll create a centerpiece here and add some depth and come back to the perspective view. Okay, the grid is disturbing us, so you can switch off the grid here. This is the icon. Okay, now once this is done, with the cylinder selected, get back to polycylinder options here. You can see axis is 20, change it to 8 and cap to 0. We don't need any caps right now. Now once this is done, You can scale a bit like this. Now right click face, select this front face, edit mesh, extrude. I won't be moving out, I'll be just clicking, activating the scale box and scale it uniformly here. The shortcut key for repeat tool is G, so press G, so you're extruding it back, so you're pushing it down. G, scale it inside. G, pull it out, then scale it in. If you press 3 you can see some results like this, but we'll add loops later. Once this is done, you can select this face, edit mesh, extrude, G, pull it out. Right, now we got something like this. Now press 3. Now we can see we have lost the basic shape because everything is smooth. So you will use edit mesh, insert edge loop tool to add the loops. Add one loop here, check the quality, add one loop here, one here. It's basically based on our requirements. We can add one more loop here. If you want, you can add one loop here. Click F8, go back to object mode, you get something like this. But if you still stay here, there's some you need to work on it. So go back to object mode, select this face, hold shift and double click on any second face, so you can see the whole loop is selected. Edit mesh, extrude. I'll scale it down a little bit here in y-axis, then press G for repeat tool and push it inside. Okay, leave it and press 3. You get some decent result, but still we need to add some loops. So you can go to edit mesh, insert edge loop tool, add one loop here, one loop here. If you want, you can add some loops here once again to get a little bit more sharp edges. Perfect. Right, if you want, you can come back to the top view, components, vertex mode, you can push it a little bit inside. Okay, same way you can select the front points, push it inside. That's it. Now press 3. So we are done with the blades. Now select all the objects, mesh, combine. So it's a single object. Now here you can see there's a lot of information is here which we don't need. So you can go to edit mesh, delete by type, history. It's clean. But now it's called polyphase 5 or something else. Double click here, change it to fan blades. That's good. Right? Very awesome. Now we need to create the frame, the cage. So we'll use torus. We can draw one torus here. Right. So we need to work a little bit on this section radius is 0.016. So I'll 0.2. Yeah, is it good? Yeah. Now press 3. Here, if you check here, we got 2020. We don't need 2020. You can change it to 8 and 8. As we press 3, we'll get some smooth, decent results. Now, what I'll do is that I'll just push it forward so that it's away from the center. Now Control D, move it inside. Because we want to change the scale properties, the radius. If you check the other one, we will not have that information here, the duplicated copy. So always I'll keep it as a source like the side here, and then start using that duplicated copies. Now I'll change the radius to a little bit down. Sorry for delay. I change the radius. Now you can duplicate the copy and move it back. Now select the main source, decrease the radius. I think that's enough. Now we can push it back. Right. Now I'll use once again the same process what I did here. I'll create a cylinder and push it forward. Select the cylinder. Always I prefer 8, caps 0, and press 3. We may lose some quality, no problem, but because we'll be going to add the loops. One here, sorry, one here, one here. Then press back to normal mode. 1. How to go to normal mode? 1. 3 is smooth mode, 1 is normal mode. Edit mesh, extrude, scale it down, G, G. I didn't scale anything, I'm just if you press 3 you can see some fun results here like this. Okay, now we got some decent frame, but the thing is that there is no link between all these objects 1 and 2 and 3. So I prefer creating a cylinder in top view. Come back to the front view and move it and place it here. Radius 0.15. Now still we need we need to go 0.11. Okay, it looks right. Now same process, 8, 0 caps, component mode vertex, select this points, move it up, face, select this face. I'll come back to the side view like this, extrude, pull it out. G is repeat tool, pull it out here. But if you check here, the edge is flat, so you can go to vertex mode, select this vertex, bit of rotation and pull it out. Pull it out. So you should get something like this. Okay, I can just pull this one a little bit inside. It inside. Right. Okay. So overall, press 3. If you press 3, so just 3, you can lose a little bit mesh quality. So add some loops here, one here, see, one more here. Overall, you can see we are happy with it. Now select this one. We need to duplicate a couple of copies. Now we'll use duplicate special copy. First I'll move the pivot to the center of this surface, so press insert, and if you hold X you can snap to the grid. So I snap the pivot to the grid and press insert, back to normal, and rotation. If you check, the rotation axis is set. Okay, so that this is 360 degrees, So let's take, I want 20 copies of this poles or something else we can say. So what is 360 divided by 20? Huh? 18. So every 18 degrees we will get one spot. So go to edit, duplicate special, and what is the axis? Z axis, and we had rotation. So X, Y, Z. So every 18 degrees I want a copy. How many copies? 20. We already have one, so we'll go for 19 copies and apply. That's it. Can I see this one now? Good. Now drag and select everything. Click and deselect the blades. Mesh, combine. So we got the shape. Now if you come back to the front side view, we need to duplicate a copy which is exactly something. So Ctrl D, and the mirror axis is Z. So change the scale Z to -1, and we'll do a little bit modification. Okay. Now this is okay. Good. But if you check here, we need to have something bigger so that these blades are inserted in. So I'll create one cylinder. Right, can I send it? Now change the segments to 0, 8 and 0 and press 3. We'll use the quality, we know, so we'll insert the loop. Right. Now we are done with the head. So select all this page and mesh, combine, delete the history, and page. So this will rotate like this, and the blades will rotate in different axes. But if you check here, the pivot is here. You need to move the pivot X somewhere in the middle of this cylinder. So come back here, press insert, move it back. Right, insert. Nice, perfect. Now we'll create the base. So create a cylinder. This is now very simple. Just create one cylinder. Big cylinder like this. A bigger one. And change the segments to 8 and 0 and 3. So before 3, what I'll do, I'll select the top vertex, checking vertex, and scale it inside a little bit. This will press 3, loop, one loop here, one loop at the center, scale it down like this, one loop down. Okay. Now we'll create the base. So create a box here like this, move it down, maybe something big. Then select the front face, extrude it forward a bit, and I'll select this edge, right click this edge, move it down and push it forward. Press 3, loops. So we'll get something like this. So we will add some buttons on top of it. So create a box. Create a box. Now move it forward and push it down. Okay, we need to scale it down like this. Now once this is done, I'll select this edge and move it down like that. Put it down. And select this face, edit mesh, extrude. G down, press 3, loop tool. So add one loop here, add exactly a little down here so that you will have some. So Control A. If you click on this icon, you can see the outlines or the mesh lines. So now we are done with the hand. Okay, we'll try to add a couple of more segments, loops here, so that it's okay. Now you can select these two objects, mesh, combine, fan, base, delete the history. You can select one thing and say fan button 01. So what I'll do now, I'll just delete all this three buttons and select, delete the history, then Control D. I don't need to rename it fan 2, button 2 and all that. Okay, now it's clean. Now I'll select everything, see that no history is there, and freeze the transformation, so everything is clean. Now we need to animate it. So we need to animate, let's take, we need 100 frames. So change this 100 frames so that we can see that 100 frame time slider. And the next step is switch on the auto key. You will check the difference now. Now click on the blades. What is the rotation axis? Z. Okay, Z positive. So at frame 1, you can press S, but you will be keying all the attributes. But right now I need to animate only rotation Z. So click rotation Z, right click, key selected. Go to last frame. As we are creating a loop animation, go to last frame, right click, key selected. So we have the same key. Sorry, same key, but the thing is that we need to change the last frame. Change this to, maybe let's take 1440, that is 316 to 4. Now let's play. Okay, it's playing. Now as this should rotate, but if I rotate, the blades are still with the same position. The blade should be moving with it. So the best option, or the option, is that select the blades, shift select the fan cage, shift select the fan cage, and go to edit, parent, or P, parent. Now select the cage, rotation axis is Y, so twist it. I'll go for some, let's take 45 degrees. Frame 1, 45 degrees. Select it, right click, key selected. Go to the last frame, key selected, because it will have the same keys now, same positions. So in mid 15th frame, I'll change this 45 minus 45 to 45 degrees positive. So now play the animation. We got the result, but we can't really see the effect because it's playing on real time. So click on animation preferences, displaying every frame. We need to change it to real time, so click in here, real time 24 frames. It's here, animation preferences, change it to 24 frames per second. Click here, this will be the speed, but still you can see the difference gradually it goes. Okay. Now once this is done, we'll try to render it. We'll try to render an animation. So how to render the animation and how to render with high textures, good quality textures. So drag and select all the objects, hold, right click and hold and go to assign new material, mental ray. If you don't have this mental ray option, go to Windows, setting preferences, plugin manager, see that Maya to MTR MR is on, Maya to MR is loaded. Now if you scroll down, we have one material called Maya Material X. Apply that material. Here if you check in attribute editor, if you go to Maya X material, we got presets. So click on preset, change it to stained metal, replace 100% of stained metal, but we need more metallic and shiny and glossy effect. So we'll go to presets, add glass tint. I'll add 25% of glass tint. You can see this in example. Once this is done, now we are ready to render, but there are a couple of more things you need to change. Click on view, camera attribute editor, scroll up, you can see environment, change this background color to gray. Okay, gray color. Once this is done, click on rendering preferences. This is rendering preferences. Click on here, change this to mental ray. There are a few things. Quality, change it to adaptive sampling, maximum sampling, change it to 2, and click on this render. Okay, I'll change this resolution a little big so that 480. I'll re-render once again. So you'll get this result. Now, to render an animation in mental ray, you can render only sequential frames. Once you render the sequential frames, you will use After Effects to convert into a FLV format or QuickTime or anything else. But right now, I'll just change the image format to JPEG, and here it should be name hash extension, that is name, frame number and extension, and the total frames is 100. That's it. Close and go to rendering, render, batch render. So you can check here result, rendering with mental ray. It will take some time. Once it is done, okay, because now you can, now you can check it's rendering completed. As we have rendered as a sequential images, we will be using After Effects to convert into as a single AVI file or FLV file. In After Effects, right click, import file. It should be in images, check it out where I rendered. If you click on render setup, you can see it's Maya project's default images. So now default images, and it's untitled. I should have named it, I just left it. Now drag it down here. Once this is done, composition, so file, export. Here. Okay, I'm done. As I was working on CS6, now this is CS3, the old version. Make a movie here, and I'll say on desktop, I'll make that, and save it. In lossless, click on lossless, change it to FLV. Okay, and here we already gave it name, and save it. Click on render. It will take a couple of minutes. Now, okay, if you're working on CS6, you need to export into render queue, and then you can render all the things. Now I'll minimize. It's here. Fan, double click. So this will be your output. Okay. Right. So hope you enjoy this lesson. Practice and complete this work. See ya. Bye.